Hi, Andre here from Peak Motorcycles. As you can see, I'm back in the garage and doing a bit of work to my CRF300 Rally for a change. So in this video, I'm going to be fitting this twin USB adapter to my bike. Now, these are readily available on the internet. This one actually came with a DIN plug attached, which would be great if I needed it on my BMW, and I don't. I just want to fit it to the CRF300 Rally. Now, what I don't want to do is clutter up the handlebars anymore. There's already more than enough stuff that's on there. I'm already using the two attachment points just up towards the top of the bracket for a ball mount. So what I'm going to be using is this thing. So I'll show you a close-up of this in a minute, but it's essentially a piece of milled plastic with a bolt through the middle with a compressible tube. And where this is going to fit is actually into these side tubes on the front of the CRF300 Rally. Now, this was sent to me by Mark Page from the Facebook group here in the UK for the CRF300L and Rally. I know that he's got two of these on his bike, one which he uses for the heated grip controller, and I think he's got a voltmeter on the other one. My heated grips are the ASWEL ones that have the integrated button in the handle, so I didn't need it for that, and I don't have a voltmeter. So it's taken me a while to find a use for it, but actually, as a place to mount this USB socket right on the front of the bike, would be really useful. I'm going away for a 4-day camping weekend this weekend, and I don't think I'll have any ability to charge anything, and I don't have enough batteries to last me the weekend. So if I'm going to go and do that, I do kind of need to have some way at least of charging GoPro batteries and my phone while we're out riding during the day. Anyway, right, I'll give you a close-up look at these particular pieces and then I'll fit them to the bike. So there's a few things I just want to show you in here. So first of all, this is the USB adapter. It's actually on a plastic bracket that comes like that. So that's the piece. It's got this 3M tape on the back and it could actually fit to a curved surface as well. Came with some extra tape and a load of tie wraps. The charger itself, it's just got a dust cover on the front with twin USB A's, I think those ones are called. Yeah, twin USB A's, and then a load of cable and this DIN plug on the end, which I don't need, so I'm just going to cut that. And then this is just to show you this plate. So this is the thing that Mark Page has had a go on one of his machines. What it is, let's take that off for a sec. It's basically, there's this sort of rubber tube, which is pretty much the same size as those side bits on the bike, and that just goes on there. I've just put a washer on the end with a bit of epoxy just to give it a bit of a, try and hold it in shape a little bit more, but I don't really think it needs it. So you basically do that up till it's touching, push that into the tube on the bike, and then do up that with a hex key at the end, and that pulls that nut down, it expands the rubber thing, and that should be a platform. So what I'm going to do is I'm essentially going to fit well, just basically put that on there using those 3M pads, put it into the side of the bike, so the cross tube comes across like this, and then that will just clip in like that. The other thing I'm going to do is work out how long this needs to be, and I'm just going to cut the cable, and I've got one of the accessory connectors, so I'm just going to use one of those, put it on the end of there. I did actually have a third socket that I'd added to my bike when I put on the heated grips, because I thought that, you know, having just that switch circuit is sort of useful. So my switch circuit will now have 3 things plugged into it using 3 accessory connectors. One for this, one for the heated grips, and one for my sat-nav. It also means that everything will go off when I turn off the ignition, so hopefully I won't get a flat battery. Right then, I'll go and fit this to the bike. So to fit this to the bike, I'm actually going to use this tube here. Hopefully you can see it now on the camera. Now on the end of here, there is this rubber bung, which just pulls out. There we go. And there's the exposed tube there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this piece and it just slots in like that all the way up. And then in theory, and I haven't actually tried this before, so let's see, just by doing it up using that screw at the end, it should compress inside. It's almost like it's actually just turning on the end. Oh no, there we go. No, it is firming up. So there we go. So I think I actually want to have the plate almost level, or if anything, just turned up slightly. Yeah, that actually feels really solid. Fine work, sir, fine work. Okay, so yeah, so that is in there now. I can still pivot it a little bit. Let me see if I can get it so it's fixed. How's that? Yeah, that actually looks pretty good. So the next thing for me to do is to mount that onto it. So basically I want to make sure that it clears the edge of the screen in here. but I think that should be good, almost central. It's like that also, so it clears the top of there. So I'll just take the pad off and stick that on. It's pretty much centered on the plate, I think. So that is now stuck in. I can pivot it a little bit, which might help with the fitting, but it doesn't feel like it's going to come loose, and I can always tighten it up right at the end. So that's the easy bit done. That's the bracket on. So the next thing I was going to do is I'm just going to pop the USB bit onto there. There we go, and then have a rough idea about how much cable I'm going to need, and then I'm going to go and cut the cable that came on this. Should we get that in? There we go. Yeah, seems to be fine. So actually, oh, can I get that off there? Yeah, I'll get that cover off. In fact, I can turn it to the side to get it off, that's fine. So what I'm actually going to do with this wire is I think I'm going to put it behind this, I'm just going to undo that bolt there, put it behind there, run it down, run it underneath, and then I'm actually going to just run it alongside the existing wiring loom that runs in here, because the accessory connector is just inside there. So actually, of all this wire, I think I'm only going to need about this much of it. So the rest of that I don't need, it's just extra stuff, extra weight. On the bike. I'm sure I can use that plug for something else somewhere else, but yeah, I'll work out exactly how long it needs to be. I'm pretty sure it's there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take this bolt off, fit it behind the plastic, run it round underneath there, and then once I know how long it is, I'm going to cut it. I'm just going to do this bit quickly. There we go, so that's in there. I'm not going to put the screw back in yet, because I just want to make sure I have enough wire to run that down under there. But my last connector is really just at the bottom there, so I think even just cutting to there should be fine. So that bit is going to go in the bin. I'm now going to take that off. I'm going to go and fit an accessory connector to the end of it. I have done this before in a couple of other videos, but I will just show you again with some crimp tools, because I think before I just knocked it up using some pliers. Hopefully you'll be able to see all of this. So to show you what I'm using, just got a pair of snips. Then I've got these two pairs of Engineer Precision pliers. So the first one here that you can see is what they call a PA21, and this has actually got the crimps that are right size for the accessory connector. The other is a wire stripper from the same make, which just has it by wire gauge, just so you get a very clean stripping of the ends of the cable. Now I'm not going to talk through all of this because it's just doing wires and stuff, but I'll skip it on. Hopefully you can pick up enough, and if you've got any questions, ask me in the comments. Okay, that's just the two conductors that are out. These connectors, they come with a few pieces. So there's the connector that looks a lot like the dust connector you get on the bike. Then you get a couple of dust covers. I've got one there, oh, one more still in the bag. There we go. So those just need to be pushed on the wire, and then those just go in the holes to plug it up. And then there's two crimp connectors which just push in through those holes. So now those sit pretty much flush up to the end like that. So hopefully, I think there I do have just about enough so that when those are crimped in fact, you know what, I might just take another 5mm off that. I want to have just enough room that I can fit those in and then pop them in there. What I'm not sure of is whether these dust covers will actually go over. They are rubber and they do flex quite a lot, but we'll see whether I can get enough on those to get those in. But yeah, I'm just going to take another little bit off there. There we go. So that's just that little bit more space. So that I think when those are in there, that will be, yeah, that should be fine. Let's tidy that up, that edge. Let's see if we can get these dust covers on. My feeling is that they're going to be too big. I don't know, maybe. Let go. And you know what, I think even if I do get them on, oh, you know, they might go. I was thinking that maybe they'll be too big to then fit into the holes, but I think we're okay. It's just going to be very snug and very waterproof. No bad thing there. Get the other one on if I can. Okay, there's the one for the second one. Okay, now just to crimp that up. Can't really see this on here very well, but basically I'm putting it in there, and I don't really want to move the camera around the other side, just because I think that'll disrupt it a little bit. Yeah, if you just trust me that I'm putting it in the 2.5mm one. You can see that on there. There we go, that's nice and tidy. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. For these ones, I think you just need to get them parallel first, and these are just really sort of the cable retaining bits, even though it is part of the end of the crimp connector. Okay, there we go, that's one of them done. Don't know if you can see that on there. So hopefully if you can keep that pretty much straight, then it should just click straight into the connector when you need to do that. So let's do the other one. You can see that on there. Okay, that's that one crimped in. So now I'm just going to do the two little spiky bits. I don't know if any of this is being picked up on the camera, so apologies if it isn't. If it looks rubbish, I'll just fast forward through it so you don't have to suffer and watch. Again, same thing with that crimp. So I think we're all good with that. Now all I really need to do is put it in there. Now to remind myself which way round it goes, I did bring one of the wired connectors that I have. So to look at those that way up, which way are we? That way, there we go. So to look at them that way up, with the big bit on the top and the little bit underneath, it's the right hand side one, which is the red and is the positive. What I got wrong there, it actually pushed the red one in and clicked it, and then there wasn't quite enough wire for me to plug the black one in. So if you're going to do that, don't copy me, push both of them in at the same time side by side, and then you won't need to nibble away a little bit more of the sheathing like I've had to do. Anyway, they're both in there now. I can see them down there at the end. What I am just going to do is I'm just going to see if I can push those dust covers in at all. I mean, I think it is pretty tight because the wire is quite thick. There's certainly a dust seal in there at the moment. I don't know if you can see that if I bring that up to the camera. I suspect that'll go out of focus. But yeah, those are in. They're the right way round polarity wise. So when viewed that way with the curved side up, yeah, it does match that with the red one on the left. And if you're looking at it with the flat side up with the hole in it, then it's the red one should be on the right. Right then, I'll give that a bit of a fiddle with a small screwdriver, see if I can get that to go in, and then I'll go and put it on the bike and see if it works. So even with a small screwdriver, I can't really poke much more of that in there, not without tearing it at least. But you know, I think that is a pretty good seal in there as it is. So honestly, I don't think it really needs it anymore. I can see the contactor all the way up to the end. So I think we are all good with that. Right, I'll go and put that on the bike. Right, so now to fit this to the bike, I think I'm going to put that on that way round, just so when the cap opens, well, actually, is that going to be annoying when the cap's open? I think it'll still be just be inside that side of the screen. So let me get that in there. Maybe it would be better that way round. What do you think? No? Stick with my first idea. Put it that way round. It'll be a bit of a fiddle to get the dust cap off, but it will also be tidier when the dust cap is on. There we go. Pop that wire around the back. Yeah, that's good. And then this end is just going to push inside this bit of plastic on the front fairing. There we go. That's quite tidy. And then the last bit just needs to tuck under there. Now, what I can't show you particularly easily, actually, you know what? Maybe I can. If I put the camera on that side, maybe you can get a view down into there. If it doesn't work, I'll just tell you what I've done and hopefully you'll believe me. So I am struggling to work out how to get a camera in here. So all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to hold the camera, show you what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to go away and do it. So for me, that's my extra accessory connector just in there. So I've got the cable here that's coming off. So I'm basically going to take that, take the dust cap off the end of this one just in there, and then just plug it in, and that should be it. I'm not going to be able to film this, so I'll just do it and then show you the result at the end. Just about seeing there with the two green bits on, that's the new cable that's plugged into my USB socket up here. So the last thing to do is to put the bolt back in there that's holding that on and to then give it a test. This is just putting the bolt back in for that plastic trim, just so where I threaded the cable behind. Okay, that's now really solid. Yeah, pleased with that. So the last thing to do is to test it. I'm going to test it to see if it will charge my iPhone. It's 10 to midnight for anyone that thinks I do these things during the day. There we go, that's the ignition on the bike. I'm just going to take the cover off. There we go. I'm just going to take that cover out of the way actually. That seems to go quite nicely in there. At least it won't flap about. So one end of the iPhone cable into that. Snug. Okay, and then here we go, moment of truth. And there we go. If you can see that, I've got my little charging thing up in the corner. So yeah, that's working. That's great. That's going to allow me to charge things over the weekend. So that's it. That's my video on how to fit a twin USB socket and connect it into the accessory socket on the Honda CRF300 Rally. You could do something very similar on the 300L, except you probably have to mount the USB thing on the bars somewhere, and instead of being inside that fairing, the accessory connector that switched from the ignition is actually inside a black rubber boot that's just behind the headlamp. I hope that's been interesting and useful. If you have any questions about what I've done in particular around the connectors, please either drop me an email or drop me a note in the comments. Thanks for watching.